off by saying congratulations to both of you on the upcoming release. What has it been like kind of building up? Because I know movies and films take a long time to produce and get out, and now soon having people see it and react to it. Andy, I'll start with you.
It's really it's a really strange process because we sort of prepared the movie and shot it in a record short time, and we even did the first edit in a pretty short time, and but that seems to be, it seems as if it was years ago. It's sort of then it all, everything went quiet for a while it's being finished, and then suddenly it's coming out now, which is terrific. I mean, it's a very strange process, but it's very satisfying as well to see that it's coming out and see how people think about it.
Yeah, Danielle, do you agree with that?
Yeah, I would say it's like wildly exciting. It did kind of, I guess it always feels like things just do go strangely quiet for a long time. And then all of a sudden it's like, it's happening. And it's like, oh my God, no, everyone's going to actually see it. Wow. A bit, nerve wracking. It's exciting. It's, yeah, I'm super proud of it. It was a great experience for me, and I'm proud of it. And I'm just excited for everyone to see all the hard work that went into it, all the cast, all the crew, all the everybody, everything it took to make it come together. I'm just really thrilled that people are going to get a chance to see it.
I'm wondering for you guys, it is based off of the true events that happened in Canadian history, and it is a pretty horrific topic. What was it that drew you guys to want to create this retelling of this story? Because it is hard to talk about sometimes. Danielle, I'll start with you.
It's a hard story, but it's a powerful story. And it's a story that Andy had told me many, many years ago. He actually did a bit of work on the documentary. He was friendly with the filmmaker and went to recreate some of the scenes. And so he and I knew each other back then, and he was telling me, and it was a story that stuck with me for so long, that when it was time, when the stars aligned and Andy and I finally came together to do a movie together, and he said, what do you think we should write about? I was like, we should write about this story, because it's literally stuck with me for like 7 years. And it's terrifying. And there's, from a story standpoint, from a writer standpoint and a producer standpoint, there's so many just juicy nuggets in there. But we didn't want to, we made a very conscious decision to not tell a true story. So it is actually inspired by true events, and the true crime fans out there that know the story will see quite a lot of those bits throughout. But we also wanted to, first and foremost, be mindful and respectful of any people that might have been associated with the story. The story is not that old, so there are victims and families of victims that are still around. So we wanted to be very respectful to them. We also wanted to pay homage to the horror genre and lean into a little bit of that. So that's kind of the approach that we took. And so it's become a blend.
Yeah, Andy, I have to ask, how is this different for you? Obviously, making it inspired off the true events as opposed to working on a documentary type film.
I've only done a few documentaries, and the documentary about Picton was done by an old friend of mine who's Malcolm Clark, who's a very talented documentary filmmaker. And until he invited me to come up and recreate a couple of bits of action that happened, I'd never heard of Picton. So when I went to Vancouver and talked to him, and then I started doing some sort of seeing his research about this character, I thought it's just such a modern day terrifying man, that was just, and I love the fact that it happened just outside Vancouver. So it's a beautiful city that people go there in the summer to sail, and winter to ski, and it's this beautiful place it feels as if it should have no crime. And then you find this sort of underbelly where you know, he operated for 30 something years without being sort of ever, you know, getting caught. And for me, that was the sort of the key element. I love the fact that this could be someone that lived next door to you. It could be, you know, these characters are never really a guy with horns and, you know, carrying a machete. It's the guy that he's charming. You know, he delivered his sausages each week, and people would line up for him, the real sausages that Willie Picton used to deliver. And it's the horror of someone that entrenched in our real sort of suburban life, that the fact that they're doing this stuff in there as well, you know, for me, that's the real horror of the movie, is that it could be someone you know or someone that lives next door to you.
Definitely. And I know you guys said you wanted to pay homage to the horror genre. When creating these characters, were there any like certain key components that you felt that you wanted the actors to use to bring these characters to life, maybe to pay homage to the story or pay homage to the horror genre? Could you expand on that?
I think, you know, as we were writing the characters on the page before we had the actors, a lot of our primary characters, with the exception of Lisa, the social worker, but in terms of the drug dealer and in terms of the woman, Arlene, who helps Squealer, these are characters that were actually inspired by truth. So we wanted to paint, we love the idea of having these very eccentric characters. Andy and I both are very into authenticity. And so we wanted them to be authentic, but also they're kind of bigger than life. And I find that in a lot of places in the world, you find these very quirky, eccentric kind of characters, and the storyline and the landscape seem to lend themselves to that. So that's how we wrote it. And then when the cast came on, they just brought more and more layers to it. Andy had many conversations with each of the characters, each of the actors about each of the characters, and then they just developed further from there. And then working with the costume designer and you know, the designer, and everybody just came together. He encourages a lot of collaboration. So I think he and I had a very good idea of what it was on the page, and then Andy had a very good vision for the way that he wanted to come on the screen. But then he allowed so much collaboration that I feel like that's what really brings each element, just lets it shine and become each one so brilliant.
And the central bit that I always found so fascinating and so sort of fresh about this story is that it's the main character, the main bad guy, is not driven by finance, and he's not driven by sex. It's completely his, whether it's a fetish or whatever, that he you know, his excitement was killing people and chopping them up, basically. And I thought that was something, you know, just a fresh approach. It's not someone that's trying to get rich, and it's not someone that's you know, madly in love with some character and has got to kill off other people that are with that character. It was just the actual process of killing them is what sort of excited him. And for me, that was something new and fresh and interesting.
Yeah, definitely. And my last question for you guys, if you could describe this film as a whole in 3 words, what would they be? Andy, I'll start with you.
God, yeah, I don't.
Danielle, want to help him out?
I don't.
Previously disturbing deliciousness.
Yeah, I don't. I think it's yeah, it's real life horror, really. I think that's what it is. It's real life horror.
Yeah, that's actually good. Real life horror. I like that.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations on everything again, and thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.